Well, hey guys, it's Darwin, and today I'm talking about gear that I'm basically over in 2023. Whew, I really need to change that intro. All right, so I used to do one of these gear purge videos at the beginning of every single year, but ever since finishing my through hike of the CDT and then taking a year hiatus from the channel and from long distance backpacking, I haven't really been testing and trying any new gear. I've been basically using the same stuff for the past 2 to 3 years. Well, since I've been going out on a bunch of new backpacking and bikepacking trips, both internationally and domestically lately, I wanted to start trying some new stuff, start testing some new gear and seeing if there was anything out there that was better or something that, made my kit a little more efficient, maybe lightened me up a little bit, or just overall made me more comfortable on the trail. So today I have a list of 5 items that I'm basically done with. I'm moving on, using something different, and throwing them to the curb. And no folks, I don't literally throw my gear in the trash. I typically take my used gear that I'm not using anymore, I give it to a friend in need, or I sell it somewhere online. The trash can is just for effect. And before we get into the video, just know because I'm not using this gear anymore and because I've moved on from it, doesn't make it bad gear. I don't regret buying it or using it. I mean, hell, some of this gear I've literally used for thousands of miles. It just means that I've found something better that's gonna make me either lighter or more comfortable or more efficient on the trail. It's all subjective and you have to use what is going to work best for you. All right, so the first piece of gear that's up on the chopping block for 2023 is something that I've been using since early 2019, and that is the Appalachian Gear Company Alpaca Hoodie. I first fell in love with this hoodie back in 2019, and I've been wearing some version of it ever since on my various adventures. For the most part, it's been a great layer to have in my kit over the years, but there were always some issues that I did have with it. Number one, the App Gear hoodie has always been a little bit heavy. My size small comes in at 9.8 ounces. And because it is kind of fluffier and bigger, it doesn't really pack down as small in my backpack, which for a mid layer that I'm not always wearing on the trail, it does take up a lot of real estate in my pack. The other thing that I've always kind of had an issue with this is I love wearing it in camp, but because it is a thicker material, because it doesn't necessarily breathe as well, if it's a cold morning and I'm going out onto the trail and hiking, I overheat in it pretty quickly just because it's not as breathable as some other fabrics on the market. So as much as I've loved these hoodies, going forward, I wanted to find something that weighed a little bit less, that packed down a lot smaller, and something that was super breathable while I was hiking in it for those chilly mornings, for those chilly evenings. So I picked up something that is probably not new to a lot of people, which is the cinchy Designs Alpha Ren Sweater. The Ren is made of a Polartec Alpha Direct 60 material that I like to call Muppet fur because, come on, you look like a Muppet when you're wearing this, but it packs down much smaller. For the crew, which is what I have, it only weighs in at 3.8 ounces. For a hooded, it weighs 4 ounces, so almost half the weight of my small App Gear Co hoodie, but this is a large. So super lightweight, packs down small, and it's crazy breathable, so I'm able to regulate my body heat a little bit better while I'm hiking. So if it's a super chilly morning or an evening on the trail, this breathes a hell of a lot better and makes me more comfortable while I'm hiking. So because it's half the weight, it packs down much smaller and the breathability is way better than any of the App Gear Co hoodies I ever had. This has become a much better hiking mid layer for me. So the App Gear Co hoodie is getting thrown to the curb. The next piece of gear that I'm completely done with for 2023 and beyond is something that I actually lost back on the CDT in 2021. If you have been following my channel and you watched the few videos that I put out on the CDT, you might remember when I was in the Wind River Range, I jumped into a high alpine lake and my trusty Tifosi prescription sunglasses got sucked right off of my face to the bottom of the lake, and as far as I know, they are still there to this day. I spent about an hour trying to retrieve them, and I couldn't get them from the bottom of the lake. Well, ever since then, I've tried a bunch of different prescription sunglasses, and over the past 2 years, I've been using two in particular. So another pair of prescription sunglasses that are, I guess, more traditional, meaning that they have the regular arms on them that fold up, and another pair of sunglasses called Ombres. I picked these up about a year ago, and I have fallen in love with them. Last year, I used these religiously on every hike, bikepacking trip, and really every other outdoor adventure that I've been on, and I love them. Obviously, what makes them different is this cord, right? So they don't have the arms that fold over that'll break. And why that's super cool is because if you're wearing them and you're doing something active, they won't fall off your face. Recently, I went out and hiked the Tour de Mont Blanc, and I left these at home, and instead I took my regular sunglasses just to make sure, just to see if, these really were the perfect sunglasses. And I gotta say, the whole time that I was on that hike and then doing some climbing afterwards, I missed my Tifosis. Again, minor prescription, you can get them in non-prescription, obviously, and in a bunch of different forms. But because they are nice and light, compact, because of this nice cord that, again, they won't suck off your face, and if you're using something like a bike helmet or a climbing helmet, the arms won't dig into the side of your face, so they're much more comfortable with a lot of outdoor activities. Because they've just been perfect for me over the last year. I'm officially done using traditional sunglasses. So the next piece of gear is something that I literally might throw in the trash, and that is the Nightcore NB 10,000. So I have been an Anchor battery bank fan for years. I've used them on almost every single thru hike that I've done, but I heard a lot of hype about these Nightcore batteries. So I decided to see what the hype was about, and I picked one up. I picked up the version 1 early last year and took it to do a ton of international travel. Well, while I was on a bike tour in Great Britain, I started having a ton of problems with this thing. Number one, every time that I plug my phone up, it won't start charging. It just doesn't start charging. A lot of times I have to actually press the button multiple times to get it to take a charge. If I unplug my phone to use it real quick and then plug it back up, it won't start charging again unless I go to press the button. The other problem that I found with this is there were multiple times where I would actually plug it into the wall to charge it and it wouldn't start charging. I had it plugged in for like 2 hours one time while we were taking a break at a bakery, and I came back to it to find out that it wasn't charging, and I would actually have to unplug it and plug it back in. Well, apparently they fixed a lot of the issues that people were having with them and put out version 2, which I picked up this year, and where I'm not having the problem with getting it charged. If I plug it in, it charges fine. It still will not start charging my phone unless I press the button multiple times. So hype be damned. Regardless, now using 2 of these because I've had so many issues with them, I'm just gonna switch back to my Anchor batteries. For years I have been using either the Anchor PowerCore PD 10,000 mAh for shorter hikes and my PowerCore PD 20,000 for longer trips. I'm going back to these. Over thousands of miles of long distance hiking and bikepacking trips, I've never had an issue with these. They've never not charged my phone. They've always held a charge throughout the night, especially if I throw up my sleeping bag in the middle of the night. And they've always charged just fine. So because I had so many issues with these things, because these have never failed me, I am done with these Nightcore batteries. Nightcore, you make an awesome headlamp, but batteries, not so much. Next up on the chopping block is something that I actually had in my gear I'm over in 2021 video, the last time I did one of these, and that was the shirt that I was hiking in. So for years, I hiked in a button-down shirt, and I switched to a sun hoodie, specifically the Echo Sun Hoodie by Outdoor Research. This thing became a staple in my hiking kit, and I've hiked thousands of miles in it. I even finished the CDT in one of these because I had to switch to it midway through the CDT after I was having problems developing my own prototypes for my own sun hoodie. So it's been a great hoodie. I've hiked thousands of miles in it. Why would I get rid of it? Well, it's because instead I'm gonna be swapping it out for my sun hoodie, the Evolved Supply Co. Mirage. So for 2 years, I've been talking about developing a sun hoodie. I'm even working on designing my own sun hoodie right now with somebody, which I'll let you guys know about that in the future. I literally have a box of 11 prototypes in the other room. Different materials, different sizing, different features, and I'm very proud to announce that I was finally able to finish my sun hoodie and recently released it with my gear company, Evolve Supply Co., in collaboration with Z-Packs. So the Mirage is made of a 135 GSM merino wool blend. It's 96% merino and 4% spandex, so a pretty high natural blend in the hoodie. Because of that, it is UPF 40 plus. The Mirage has a nice athletic tapered fit to it. It has an extra long drop tail, so that way if you're wearing a hip belt, the shirt won't ride up on you. It obviously has thumb holes because what good sun hoodie doesn't have thumb holes? We put a quarter zip on the front of it, so if you're like me and you overheat while you're on a climb or something like that on the trail or it's a hot day, you can ventilate your chest a little bit. A nice, roomy, comfortable 3-panel hood, so it's really good with hats and under helmets. And just overall, it's a great shirt. Obviously, I'm gonna be biased about it because I've been working 2 years to get this out, but I've been hiking and bike packing and doing everything in this last final prototype for the last 6 months, and it's been awesome. So because obviously I'm gonna wear my own sun hoodie that I spent so long developing and testing, I am done using the Outdoor Research Echo Sun Hoodie. Echo, you've served me well. Thank you for your service. All right, so the last piece of gear that I've recently decided to move away from is a big one for me. If you've been watching my channel over the last 7 years, you'll know that a staple in all of my gear kits and my favorite shoe of choice is some version of an Ultra shoe. I have used basically every iteration of an Ultra shoe since 2016, starting with the Lone Peak 2.0. So I've used almost every version of the Lone Peak at this point, the Temps, the Olympus. I've even used a lot of their road running shoes as my everyday footwear. This has been my shoe of choice. But over the last 4 months, I've been wanting to try something different and move to a different brand, see what else is out there and try a different shoe. Why? I mean, if I've put so many miles on these and they've helped me start and finish every thru hike that I've been on, why would I get rid of these? Well, I remember back in 2016, 2017, I could get 600 to 700 miles out of a pair of Lone Peak 3.0s. Today, using something like the Lone Peak 6, I'm lucky if I get 300 miles out of a pair. I've found that over the years, their quality has just really diminished. They start delaminating fast. The foam in the heel starts breaking down super fast, and the tread on the bottom is basically non-existent after a couple 100 miles. Well, about a month ago, going on 2 months, I picked up a new shoe that I have been pleasantly surprised with, and I switched to the Topo Pursuit. The Pursuit in particular has some awesome features that really check off a lot of boxes that I'm trying to check off when I'm looking for a good shoe. Number one, they have a super wide toe box and a zero drop, just like the Lone Peaks. Check. They have a nice thick cushion, 28 millimeters for the stack height. So it's just like the Temps at 29, which has been always my favorite amount of cush. Check. And they have a Vibram midsole or bottom to them, which is super durable and has great grip, just like the Olympus. Check. So this shoe is really kind of like all of my favorite features from all of my favorite Ultra shoes over the last 7 years rolled into one. I have been putting this thing through hell. I've recently got back into trail running, and this is the shoe that I've been doing all of my running in. I've also recently taken it out on a section hike of the PCT up in Washington. This shoe is excellent with ventilation. It dried out really well. It has an excellent ride on it. And after absolutely beating the shit out of these for the past month, they look great. So because I have definitely found a better shoe that for my foot is super comfortable, has a really nice ride to it, the durability seems to be there. I am basically done with Ultras. I'm gonna be heading to Nepal next week and putting a ton of miles on these with a 10-day trek through the Gokyo route to Everest Base Camp. And after that, I plan on doing a review so I can really put these through some more hell and kind of see what the long-term durability is of them. But so far, I am absolutely loving the Topo Pursuits. So because I found my new favorite shoe, not only the Lone Peak, but all of Ultra shoes I am throwing to the curb. All right, so there you go. 5 items that I am purging from my gear setups for the rest of 2023. Yeah, this video is kind of late in the year, but better late than never. And odds are that I'm gonna end up swapping out and trying some new stuff by the end of December anyways, because that's how it works. If you're constantly going out on new trips and trying new things, you're probably trying to make yourself lighter, more efficient, or more comfortable on the hikes and the trips that you're doing. And remember, it's all subjective. Just because I don't like something or because I'm throwing something to the curb and I'm done with it, it doesn't make it bad gear. Hiking and backpacking and bikepacking gear is all subjective. You have to figure out what works best for you and what's gonna make you the most comfortable while you're out on your adventures. Speaking of that, is there something that you have recently decided to purge from your gear setups? Is there something that you've used for years that's been tried and true and recently you found a good replacement for? Leave it down below and let me know your thoughts. If you guys have been enjoying some of this new content that I've been putting out and you want to support me and the channel, and you want to check out my new video podcast called Spilling Tea, where I tell some crazy stories, controversial and just weird stories from my last 7 years in the outdoor industry, or you want to catch my weekly Monday morning video podcast, The First Cup, consider signing up for my Patreon account. I'll leave a link down below if that's something that you're interested. Guys, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. You're taking care of each other. I love you. And as always, thanks for watching.